known for its ability to make your wife a widow, has been one of the most popular and talked about muscle cars of my generation. So today we're going to dive deep into its history and find out how it went from a widowmaker to a track-ready beast. My name is Micah Johnson. Welcome to Rev-Life. Now, the Dodge Viper debuted in 1991 as a bold first step for Chrysler. The Viper initially drew inspiration from early 1960 muscle cars. Executives like Bob Lutz and designer Tom Gale sought to create a modern American supercar with raw power and a minimalistic design. Now, with the designs moving forward, the car needed an engine that would match the personality and flair of this dream car. So they teamed up with Lamborghini to make a 8.0 liter V10 engine to rock people's worlds. And in 1991, the Gen 1 Viper was created. Now, the very first Viper was all about power. It featured that 8 liter V10, which pushed 400 horsepower. Now, the first gen Viper was all about performance. It had side exhaust, no AC, no airbags. Who needs that, right? A long and aggressive front, which housed the 8 liter V10, 2 seats for you and your wife, and a nice looking rear end as well. Like I said before, this car was engineered for performance. There was no luxury, no comfortability. It was about pure excitement, joy, power, and fun. And that's what was so beautiful about this car, is that they knew the drivers wanted a driving car. The Gen 1 Viper still holds the reputation of the purest driving experience ever created. The Gen 1 was in production from 1991 to 1995, and then they moved on to Gen 2, which looks so good. Welcome to the second generation Viper, an arguably better looking car than the first generation, if that's your preference. This car got its horsepower bumped up to 450 horsepower, so in case the first generation wasn't crazy enough, the second generation might tickle your fancy. Gotta be honest, a little let down. They put airbags in this one. I mean, come on, really, Dodge? They also did improve on the interior and the exterior in multiple different ways. And this generation really gets me excited. I don't know what it is about it, but something about that body style and that aggression and the power that you know it has is something spectacular. Later on, the GTS Coupe debuted, showing something called a double bubble roof, which helped drivers with helmets get into the car. So yeah, take it on the track. Basically the translation. Not only that, but the aerodynamic aggressive look was turned up to 10 on this car, which looks spectacular. Handling was also increased with a stiffer chassis, keeping the car sharp but civilized. Now, a neat fact about the Gen 2 GTS is it became very famous throughout the Fast and Furious series, so keep an eye out for that. Now, the Gen 2 was in production from 1996 to 2002, and then we move on to Generation 3. And a year later, the Gen 3 had been released. The Gen 3 was a complete redesign of the Viper, now with a 500 horsepower 8.3 liter V10, because apparently 8 liters wasn't big enough. Again, the Viper became more aerodynamic, more performance-based, and more refined, which helps out a ton. And the interior was modernized with improved technology and materials, making it even more comfortable without sacrificing performance. The car also introduced new advanced handling and suspension, making it slightly easier to drive without losing any of its raw power. Not only that, there was another Viper introduced in 2003 called the Viper SRT10. The Viper SRT10 came with multiple improvements like suspension, handling, engine tweaks, stuff like that put that Viper over the edge. Now, this was available in both a hardtop and a convertible, so if you want to go ride around on the beach, that's cool. If you want to go dominate on the track, that's also cool. Now, these third gen Vipers were in production from 2003 to 2006, and then they moved on to Gen 4. For 2 years, Chrysler went into a design phase, trying to plan out exactly what needed to be done to perfect this car. And in 2008, the Viper came out with even further refinements. The 8.4 liter V10 now produced 600 horsepower. Handling was enhanced yet again, and the standout model, the Viper ACR, which stands for American Club Racer, was designed for the racetrack with performance enhancements like adjustable suspension, lighter materials, and improved aerodynamics. This car was tuned to break lap records and to push the limiter on what this car can do. During this generation, this is when the Viper started shifting from a power toy to a performance and handling monster. Chrysler threw things like a 6-speed manual transmission, a new limited slip differentials, and many other improvements, which again helped improve the car's stability to the point that it could actually compete with track-ready cars. So now you wouldn't slide around the corners, you could actually take the corners like a missile, really. And to emphasize the new upgrades to performance, they went and set a lap record on the Nürburgring. What? Now, this car was only in production for 2 years, from 08 to 2010. And then Dodge decided to kill off the Viper. Sad day for America. I think I was like 6 here, but sad day nonetheless. Now, luckily, that's not the end of the Viper story. 3 years later, the Viper was reintroduced. This was the 5th generation, and it pushed the Viper to its peak. Keeping its 8.4-liter V10, it now pushed 640 horsepower and 600 foot-pounds of torque. Now, that was very familiar, but everything else had changed. It came with a new 6-speed manual transmission, reworked body panels made from carbon fiber and aluminum, and finally, electronic stability control and traction control. The Viper 0 to 60 was tuned down to 3.5 seconds, and the top speed was finally above 200 miles an hour. By 2015, they upgraded the engine again to push 645 horsepower, so yeah, even more. And this car looked and still looks amazing. The new Viper ACR, the latest edition, with all of the giant wing and the giant aerodynamic little fins and all the little cut-ins and stuff. What is that? It looks like a freaking Frankenstein monster in a good way. But the road presence of this car is unexplainable. It's like it was crafted to scare people. It's like a Halloween concert. What even is that? This Viper is insane. This video right here I highly recommend to watch so you can get a grasp on the performance and just how awe-inspiring this car really is. Now, I've never had the pleasure of riding in or even really seeing one of these things very close, but from what I can tell, from what I can imagine and think, this thing looks awesome. And Dodge, if you're watching this video somehow, go ahead and bring it back for me, please. I mean, this thing looked like a missile with a big old wing on it. Who doesn't like a big old wing? Come on. 2016 Viper ACR was so good that it set 13 lap records in 1 year, becoming one of the best American-made muscle cars to ever grace the American soil. But despite the power, despite the performance, and despite the looks, this car didn't sell well. Obviously, I wasn't able to buy it. I would have kept it in stock, all right? I would have done it, but it didn't sell. So Dodge decided to kill it again in 2017. Now, what does the future hold? I have no idea. I can hope, I can pray, but I can't tell the future. Hopefully they bring it back. I won't be able to buy it because let's be honest, have you seen my car? But maybe someday, one day I can see one in person and tell you guys my experience. And with that being said, let me know what you guys want to see in the next couple of videos and I'll get to it as soon as I can. Without further ado, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here. Drive safe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.